Every year, after the divisional rounds, 4 teams win and move on and their season stays alive, while the other 4 teams who lost, their season is over, obviously. In this video, I'm going to look at the teams that lost, so we can brainstorm and get some ideas on how these teams can potentially take the next step as an organization. There's an old theory when it comes to the NFL where either you win the Super Bowl or you had a failure of a season. As if it's Super Bowl or bust for every single NFL team, and man, I couldn't disagree anymore. I think, as the saying goes, situations are situational, and you cannot tell me that the Green Bay Packers did not have a great season, or that they didn't achieve some goals or wasn't successful in some way. Yes, every team wants to go to and win the Super Bowl, but all teams are not equal. I think the situations of the Packers compared to the Bills is a great example of what I'm talking about. Packers didn't win the Super Bowl, but it was still a great season for them. As for the Bills, the players, the organization, and the fans probably feel like there was a lot they left on the table this year. All teams do have some questions in need of answering though for next season and the future in general. So let's start with the Packers first on what they need to do to take that next step. So the Packers finished 9-8 in the regular season, winning their last 3 games to get into the postseason to begin with. They were awarded the 7th seed and got rewarded with having to play the Dallas Cowboys, who at the time was undefeated at home. They take the challenge, win the game, and then go to San Fran in the divisional rounds, and went toe-to-toe back and forth with the Niners, but ended up losing that game 24-21. When we analyze these teams, I mostly want to look at what they did in December, the end of the season, because that's generally who they are or who they became. And starting in December was a win against the Chiefs. I think this team really changed from Christmas Eve on. After that Carolina game, they had 2 divisional games, and they took care of business. They were able to score a lot of points in these games. So the offense should be fine, but what about the defense? Well, in the regular season, they were top 10 in points allowed. But in the playoffs, they gave up 28 points per game on average. And look, the playoffs have better teams in it, but you still can't give up 28 points per game. They're also really bad at stopping the run, and they were one of the worst at rushing yards per game all season long. So I think first and foremost, they need to get a run stopper or 2 or 3 on the D-line. The D-line's got to make more noise so they can help the secondary cause interceptions, as they were the 2nd worst at picking off teams. I also think Aaron Jones had a tremendous effect here. They were 3-3 without Aaron Jones, so with Aaron Jones they were 6-5 in the regular season. So just a little bit better, but sometimes just being a little bit better is just enough to advance. Plus, I don't think they were getting a fully ready to go Aaron Jones when he did come back from injury. I think it took him up until December to really get back to where he was before, as Aaron Jones finished the season with 5 straight games of 100 rushing yards or more. The last 2 were in the playoffs in the most crucial of moments, and they were 4-1 when he did so. These are my 4 biggest points for the Packers to take that next step. Acquire some big-time run stoppers, get more sacks, find a backup running back to Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon is set to be a free agent, so there's a decision to be made there. And really just take more advantage of the opportunities given to you, like interceptions. But there's no denying that the future is bright in Green Bay. Up next, the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans got the 4 seed in the AFC playoffs after winning their division and finishing 10-7. They beat the hell out of Cleveland in the wild card rounds and then got the hell beaten out of them by Baltimore in the divisional rounds. Another team that is way ahead of schedule, even more ahead of schedule than Green Bay is, in my humble opinion. They also played very good football in December, winning 3 of their last 4 games, 3 of those being division games. They were right at middle of the pack in the NFL this year with total takeaways, but what makes Stroud in this Houston offense special is their lack of giveaways. It will be hard for Stroud to continue this as his career moves on, but if anyone can do it, I trust in that guy. So, you've got your future quarterback. What else can we do? Knowing that you also have given him a good wide receiving core. Well, probably the offensive line. They do have Tunsil there, who is one of the most underrated offensive linemen in the game today. But Stroud got sacked 38 times. And keep in mind, that was just 15 games. Had he played all 17, you're looking in the 40s. So I think you draft an offensive lineman or 2. But you really got to figure out who's staying on the team and who isn't. There are some free agents that are quite interesting with Houston. You do got to figure out the run game. Look, Singletary was fine, but I don't know what happened to Pierce. I don't know if it was injury or I don't know what it was, but Pierce was clearly not the same guy. Then I would say putting pressure on the opposing team's quarterback. Houston has one player in the top 50 in total sacks this year. Where there's a bright spot at, though, in 2 playoff games, they did get 7 sacks. But you're looking at Derek Barnett, Hassan Ridgeway, and Jonathan Greenyard on the defensive line that are all unrestricted free agents. By the way, Jonathan Greenyard is the one getting paid the least out of them, and he was the one guy in the top 50. He was actually top 10 in sacks. So lots of decisions there on that D-line and lots of decisions to be made at running back. In conclusion with Houston, my most important bulletin points here are wisely spending their free agent money, drafting or signing some kind of rush game, and getting to the quarterback on a more consistent basis on defense. But again, this season was an absolute dub for Houston, and I'm proud and happy for you, Texans fans. The Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills were 6-6 at one point, and they finished 11-6, going perfect in December and January. Wildcard weekend shows out, and they show out against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next week in the Divisional Rounds, they play the Kansas City Chiefs and lose to them in the postseason yet again. What do? I don't know. Nah, I'm just kidding. You'd have to think eventually, one of these years, things are going to go right. Things are going to go their way. They'll get over the hump of getting out of the divisional round. It's not just a them versus Chiefs thing because my Bengals beat them as well last year. Of course, Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level this year, arguably last year too. The Bills even went out and seeked another rusher besides Josh. So I think, of course, if you can run it back, then you need to do so. But there are a ton of free agents on the defense. Really, the only good news here is the only one you have to worry about on offense is Gabe Davis. But here we go. On defense, you're looking at Micah Hyde, Daquan Jones, Leonard Floyd, Taylor Rapp, AJ Epineza, Shaq Lawson, Cam Lewis. So can or even should you pay all these guys or most of them? I would imagine that Micah Hyde isn't going anywhere, but you don't know. Because in 2025, you got your own set of problems with Rasul Douglas and Jordan Poyer also becoming free agents. Everyone say hi to my cat, by the way. Hyde, Daquan Jones, and Leonard Floyd are in their 30s. Shaq Lawson will be 30 soon. And then Von Miller almost 39. So if you do re-sign these guys for a couple more years or even one more year, it's kind of a last hoorah for this defense. But Von Miller, Ed Oliver, and Matt Milano you have until 2027 and 2028. I don't know, I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers. And to the Bills fans, do you want to see the coaches fired? If so, then who? What other changes would you want to see from this Buffalo Bills team? Please let me know in the comment section below, and the best comment will win. And it'll be featured in one way or another. But I would try to run it back again as much as I can. Try to work out an offense to where Josh Allen throws less picks, or he just, throws less picks. And pray every day to the football gods that they bless us next year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this is maybe the most fun one of all. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a 9-8 record in the regular season, beat the Eagles in Wild Card weekend at home, then lost in Detroit to the Lions 31-23 in the Divisional Rounds. I had a lot of fun going on an emotional roller coaster with this team. At the beginning of the year, the Bucs were a plus 1,400 to win the NFC South. So I might have picked them to win the division. I might have said this 10 times on the channel by now too. And the team started 3-1, so I was looking very happy. Then they got cold, very cold. All of a sudden they were 4-7. Just to get super hot again, just to get in the playoffs, winning 5 of their last 6 games before the playoffs. And it was intense. During the regular season, they did lose to every team that would eventually become a playoff team, even the team that they beat in the playoffs, the Eagles, except for the team that we featured in this video, the Green Bay Packers. Made you think, man, they might not be suited for the playoffs. It's just the NFC South might be a little bit down this year. Well, Wild Card weekend came out on Monday night, and they proved they belong. This is a very proud defense and offense like Mike Evans and Godwin, and Baker was out to prove himself. And I'm sure they'll no doubt be hungry to prove themselves yet again. Personally, I think they've proven that they're more than just Tom Brady. Wide receiver Mike Evans and Baker are both free agents on the offense, and I personally do think they will re-sign both of them. Mike Evans, I mean, especially, he's a Tampa Bay legend at this point. Also, there's guys like Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, and Jacoby Brissett that are set to be free agents this year. Potentially. Also, so is Smokin' Joe Flacco, who at the very least could be a backup. They were in the top half in takeaways, and also in the top half in least amount of giveaways. But in 17 games, they got Baker sacked 40 times. So I think you go out and get a fresh, young offensive line in the draft and maybe sign one or two, get a third down running back, and add some depth to the secondary. But yeah, guys, following these playoff losses, this is what I've seen from the teams. These are some ideas and some routes that I think teams should go down. But what do you think? Be sure to let me know what you think your team or these teams should do in the comment section below. The best comment with the best ideas will win. And to my NBA guys, just wait, it's coming. That's going to do it, guys. Make sure you're subscribed for more of America's Sports.